Arguing for the end of adult marijuana prohibition is easy because we have facts, science, reason, compassion, evidence, truth, and logic on our side. It is even easier when researchers catalog it all for us. Learn how to gather the facts on marijuana use, arrests, seizures, rehabs, drug tests, and more in this edition of Drug War Data Mining.
All right, welcome back, everyone. 22 after the hour, and just going back to my Twitter account here for Sheriff Bergin, who had a quote. This was in the New York Times that had a story talking about Oregon's Measure 91 and the Kevin Sabet Oregon Marijuana Education Tour that we successfully killed half of, and discussed that tactic. It didn't name me specifically, but it was talking about what we did as far as the records requests and so forth. In response to the fact that the Yes on 91 campaign has raised millions and the No on 91 campaign has only raised $168,000, 98.6% of that from the sheriffs and narcotics enforcers, there's a quote from Sheriff Tom Bergin who said, quote, "We've got daytime jobs. The potheads don't. This is their job to get this legalized." End quote. So I see, Sheriff Bergin, the contention here is that we're the potheads. We don't have jobs. We're just on unemployment, sucking down welfare and spending all our time trying to get things legalized. Now, I can't speak for everyone because it's true, this is my full-time job. Legalization is all I do. But I thought it might be interesting to take a look at the Drug War Data Mine and go to the National Surveys on Drug Use and Health. This is their 2-year RDAS, and it contains information broken down at a state level on whether or not people use certain drugs and various other demographics about them. So I thought it'd be interesting to take Sheriff Bergin's comment at face value, that the potheads don't have day jobs. So I found a series of variables that work really well for telling us this story. For our row, we're going to use a variable called EmpStatY. This is the revised employment status. It will tell us whether or not someone is full-time employed, part-time employed, unemployed, or out of the job market. For our column, we'll use MRJYR. This is past year use of marijuana. So for the epithet of potheads, we're going to count anybody who smoked pot in the previous year because they would be trying to legalize it this year, we will assume. Then for our control, we'll use the year pair indicator, YRPRIND. This breaks the data down by the 2-year chunks so that we can get the latest data, which is 2010 to 2011. And finally, our selection filters. In our selection filters, we're going to go with state 41. That's Oregon. The state of Oregon is the 41st state in their list. And age 21 to 103. Because really, it shouldn't be counted against us if someone smoked pot in the past year and they're 14 years old and obviously don't have a job. Besides, legalization of marijuana under Measure 91 that supposedly us unemployed potheads that don't have jobs and are fighting to legalize, that Measure 91 only legalizes for people 21 and older. So really, it's only fair to talk about us 21 and older potheads who supposedly don't have jobs. So, our row, EmpStatY, our column, MRJYR, our control, YRPRIND, and our selection filters, state 41 and age 21 to 103. 103 is the oldest person they got data on. We'll run that table and see just what we come up with. And we'll have to scroll down just a little bit to get to the 2010 numbers. And here we go, 2010, 2011. Let's see if I can scoot this over just a little bit for us to see it a little better on the screen for those of us who are watching on the screen. There's our data. For people who did not use marijuana in the past year, 50.5% of them were full-time employed. For people who did use marijuana in the past year, 53.1% of them were full-time employed. More potheads have full-time jobs than non-potheads. For people who did not use marijuana in the past year, 12.2% of them are employed part-time. For people who did smoke marijuana in the past year, 19.1% of them are employed part-time. Once again, when we look at part-time work, potheads are more likely to be employed than non-potheads. Adding the two figures, we get 62.7% of the non-tokers who are employed full-time or part-time Adding together the people who have smoked marijuana, we get 72.2? Am I adding that correctly? Yeah, about 72.2% have been employed full-time or part-time if they've used marijuana in the past year. Now, unemployment is double for people who are pot smokers, but then again, when you get fired for smoking pot, that would explain a whole lot of that.